Welcome, teachers, to the first professional development seminar that we're going to have this year. I'm going to start off with a little bit of a mastering learning model. When I came into teaching, we went over a few of these, but probably not very intensely. So I'm just going to go back over this model, mastery teaching model. That's when I come in here, I thought, teacher stands in front of the class, explains the topic, hands out a bunch of worksheets, and then grades them after, then we're complete. Bam, mastered, right? We're done. Great, we got that all done. No, that's not really what it is. This is where the students master a topic. Duh. Yes, it is. But the way they master the topic is the key to this model. Mastery learning model is based on Bloom and Carroll's steps out of the models of teaching from Joyce, Wheel, and Calhoun. Mastery learning is a concise and different way of elevating the student's ability. The model uses small, deliberate steps to ensure mastery before moving on to the next topic. And really what they're talking about doing here is they're talking about breaking the learning down for the student into individual learning plans so you can find out what the best method for that student is to learn. Now, what are the best modalities? What is the best learning model? Are they visual? Are they auditory? Those type of things. We need to find that out. That way the student has the best way to succeed in learning. What was kind of crazy about this was there's an article from Brusick, Cohen, Wayne, Magagi, and Yudowski where they took the mastering learning model and turned it into a different level in medicine. They called it a simulation-based mastery learning. And this is where the students in the medical field, have to master a procedure before they get to move on. Obviously, when we're talking about doing operations and procedures and different things like that, we want to make sure that those students are understanding how to do that and how those steps happen. So this is how we're slowing this down. We're breaking this down so those students can understand the basic steps and building that prior knowledge and fundamentals on how to work to the next step. What are some of the teachers' views and administration on learning? According to Guksau, the teachers are in control of using and making mastery teaching work. We are. As teachers, we are the ones that are in control of how students learn, what the best methods for the students. We've been the ones that went to school. We should have been able to learn those methods, and we need to work with those. That's where the mastery learning comes in, where we use those and break that down for every student. And basically what we're doing here is, again, we're just making these little small steps, starting with a foundation, and we're going to build from those, and we're going to see how far we can make it. Similarly to Emery, Anderson, Anderman, and Wu, they talk to administration, and they're very in favor of this learning style and allowing for more time to gain the mastery skills. Now, the trouble is, we know as teachers and administration that there's this crucial thing called state assessment. We only have a certain amount of time to get the information that we need at that year in. We don't have a lot of extra time to do other things. So it has to be pretty intense. You're going to have to be with this, pretty on top of this to get these steps put in. Here is the basic mastery-based learning model. Okay. First thing we do is we determine that baseline of that student. We find out where they're at. Now we're going to decide what the best model of learning is for those students. We're going to find out if it's auditory, visual, kinesthetic, those are different things. Do they like direct instruction, those different type of things. We're going to find out all of that, how that works for that student the best. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start delivering that information to them. Okay. However they need to do it, if we can put it online for them, and those type of things. As they're going through this process, we are going to give formative assessments to understand where the students are at. If they're learning the information and where they're progressing to. Okay. So again, we want to make sure that they're progressing and they are getting mastery level. Now that has different lengths of what mastery level is, but we want to make sure that they're getting a good percentage of it. At the end, we're going to validate the gains, probably with an summative assessment to make sure that we have gained all that knowledge to a certain extent. Again, we're going to measure the growth and see if they can move on to the next step. This is being used by Childers and Liu at a study on students with low ACT scores in mathematics. So they use this model in computers as a computer-generated thing where they had 10 different modules, and they had to get through every one of them before they got to the end. Now, they took this over a 2-year period of time. They were working with different students and allowing them to just work through at their own pace before they got to move on. So the computer really helped out with that whole idea of being able to do that progression. The next one was from Roseman University. They build a 6-step model on mastery learning. But what they're using it in is in their pharmacology school, where they're preparing students as pharmacists and getting ready to go out to get board certified. What they're trying to do here is they're trying to give them all that baseline information, little by little, making sure they understand it before they get to that summative test of the board certification. This thing here said that their prior 2 to 5 years was about 70% of the students that went and took the board certification the first time passed it, 70%. After they implemented this mastery learning model, they're up to 90%. 90% of the students are actually passing that board certification the first time. So this system works. It's very intense for teachers. We have to have a lot of material ready. I don't really think that you can give them the same material again. You're going to have to rework that information and those kind of things. So it is very probably intense for the teacher to make sure it happens. But really what we're after is the success for the student. So we need to make sure we're trying to do that. Here's my references. Yeah, references. The biggest one that I really enjoyed the most, the best reading, was from Models of Teaching from Joyce, Wheel, and Calhoun. It has so much different information about the teaching models and things in there. It is really good. They break it down into behavioral information. It's a really good source to be able to go in and gain some really good knowledge out of it. So I hope we can look at this mastery learning and you can apply it in your classroom. Thank you.